everybody, and welcome to the Aggieville Alleycats podcast. With them rain, shine, or anything in between, we're here to deliver to you the Kansas State sporting news that you so love. I'm Ace Edwards, right alongside
Connor Baltazar.
And it seems like every time we do one of these recruiting episodes, especially lately, it has been quote-unquote the biggest recruiting week in the history of the show. And I'm sorry to say that trend is, I'm not sorry to say it, but that trend is certainly continuing. And yes, indeed, you are listening to a new episode. We're not just rehashing content. But this time we have, I believe last episode that we did for our weekly recap was like 4 or 5 commits. We have 7 now. So a lot of them were within a few days of this being recorded as well. So we couldn't have accounted for them in a weekly recap last week. But neither here nor there. We have plenty to cover. So let's go ahead and dive straight into the commits in order of commitment. And the first of which is Cedric Marsh from Waxahachie, Texas. That's a great city name, by the way, who's rated as a borderline 4-star on Rivals and borderline as well on 24/7. ESPN is lagging behind because, of course, they are. But 6'4", 230 edge rusher. And I right now, I'm kind of putting edge rusher in quotations because he's a very, very different player than we are used to seeing K-State recruit in, especially from high school edge rushers, where this is like a true defensive end as opposed to the more edge rusher style that we see now. And we haven't seen many guys get recruited that way. But I mean, with Cedric Marsh, it just makes a whole lot of sense.
Yeah. Marsh, this was one where even for the guys that kind of keep their ear to the ground, like at least for like the like more amateur recruiting guys that like don't have the inside sources, like we stay pretty plugged in through the message boards and stuff. But even this one, really kind of there wasn't much buildup to Cedric Marsh, which is a little surprising, especially given that he's like a pretty significant prospect. He's someone that, right now, not a 4-star, but I bet if he has a good senior season, he's going to like put himself past that mark, if not very close to it. But yeah, he is a grown man at defensive end. K-State has a lot of guys that show elite athleticism in terms of like explosiveness and speed, but just have a lot of work to do in terms of building their frame. Cedric Marsh definitely has work to do in terms of adding weight, but really like the body composition is already in a pretty solid spot. Like he's not like in like beat you to the edge speed rusher type, but he like has some like really solid power moves. And he's a very fluid athlete as well. He's very comfortable in what he's doing. He's technically pretty good for high school defensive end as well. Like he's honestly pretty advanced. Like he's got a lot going for him, and his game is really strong. This is a guy that I think if he hits the weight room in the right way, he could be someone that could break out as soon as being a redshirt freshman. He might even be able to play his way onto the field as a true freshman if he plays his cards right.
Yeah, to me right now, first we'll talk about his offer sheet because he had a bunch of the regional Texas schools recruiting him as well as Oklahoma. So finally burnt vegetables we finally get one over on him outside of the one receiver from last year.
Julius Wilson.
Yeah, Julius Wilson. I knew Wilson was somewhere in there. But Cedric Marsh, I'm not going to steal your comp that you made before the episode, but I will make my own. He reminds me a lot of sophomore year Felix, where he just has guns attached to his forearms, but doesn't necessarily have the quickest first step. And that is kind of what's limited Felix at the NFL level, but made him a really, really effective at the start 2-down defensive end at K-State, where he was on the field for a lot of those rushing downs. And I agree with you. He's not a bendy athlete. That's just not really who he is. and his first step isn't like end of the world beating, but he makes up for it just because he's more twitchy than he is bendy, which makes him really, really good at playing the run, which I'm going to give spoilers for the other two defensive line commits. If we were theoretically running a 3-down front, which I doubt we are given Jordan Peterson's track record, those all three are pieces that you put on a 3-down run stopping front before you get in your pass rushing sets. And that's not to say that they can't rush the passer. It's just that right now they're much more strong than they are bendy, and that's more of a run defense / pressure skill set as opposed to a sack getting skill set. But Connor, your comp I think was interesting as well.
Yeah, I mean, watching his tape, it reminded me, particularly in terms of his frame, his current body composition, and how it appears he still has a lot of room to add weight, kind of like a like slightly smaller Chidi Obiizor. I think watching him, you can see there's a lot of athleticism there to work with. And again, like it's not necessarily, like the elite speed rush type, but it is like a twitchy athlete sort where you can watch him work in his highlights and you can tell that athletically he is kind of operating on a different level. It's just not necessarily the like 100-meter sprints type of athleticism. Like it's like he's gonna kill it in the like shuttle drill, like in agility drills. Like he's like got a lot to work with there. And Chidi had like an even bigger frame at 6'6", but much further to go from a technical perspective. Now, granted, he made those steps, but Cedric Marsh does not have as far to go on the technical side. I think in terms of weight room work that they need, I'd say that Cedric maybe doesn't have quite as much to go there either. But yeah, the big thing for him will be if he can work on his first step and like develop like explosiveness from a speed perspective. Like he's not too far away from being like an every down defensive end for K-State. Like he is a guy where if he puts everything together, he is like a future all conference defensive end / edge rusher. Got a little bit of work to do still, but he's very playable, honestly.
Yeah, absolutely. He could step on campus and I'd be fine with it. I mean, I wouldn't be ridiculously excited, but I wouldn't be panicking either. But that sort of leads us into our next commit, who is going to be cornerback Brajan Melanson. And he is also rated as a high 3-star on 24/7 and Rivals. He's actually rated higher than Cedric on both sites. Relax. But most of the time, I want to give a shout out to Drew Galloway and Mason Voth on the KSO show, because I was listening to their show when he first committed, because I have an hour-long commute now for my job, so I started listening to more and more podcasts. But most of the time, if I hear someone make a comp, I'm not going to say that I avoid it if I don't, like, I'm not going to say I'm going to avoid it if it's obvious to me, but I try to say something different. And then Drew Galloway just hit everyone with the, Brajan Melanson is Jacob Parrish. I watched his film. Damn it, he's Jacob Parrish. That's just what he is. And I wanted so badly to find a different comp because Jacob Parrish continues to haunt me based on where I had him rated. But yeah, he's the same kind of player. Ridiculously twitchy athlete who might be a little bit undersized, but is still more than capable of playing physically. And he's a kick returner. So if he ends up with the Jacob Parrish arc where I said all Jacob Parrish will be is a kick returner, legendarily bad take by me, we'll have come full circle.
Yeah. First thing I want to inquire about, Melanson was not how I was pronouncing this at all in my head. Like I was saying Melancon. Is that what the KSO guys were saying on their
Drew was saying it's Melanson.
I would have never guessed that in a million years.
Yeah,
So,
this isn't one of those where you can look at the letters in his name and pronounce them.
yeah. Well, he is from Louisiana, so yeah, that makes sense that they may have some different pronunciations. But no, like Brajon, I really, really happy with this edition. The parish comp was not my first thought. I didn't really have an immediate comp for him, but I absolutely see it. Especially for me, I think it's the ball skills. I think that stand out in the parish comp. When I think about like what Parrish was able to do in coverage here, what Brajon shows in his tape, like I think Brajon also his tape is just way more advanced than Jacobs was. But and also Brajon I think has a better frame too. Like his arms are a lot longer, and he's got at least 2 or 3 inches on Jacob, I think. So I I'm a fan of Brajon Melanson, and yeah, like the kick returns are excellent as well. Like he's like a good receiver too. He's listed as an athlete, but he'll be a corner. But man, like this is another one of these like really excellent athlete types that I'm very happy to get. And corner's another room where we've been getting a lot of variety as well. Like we're not just kind of sticking to one archetype of guy there. It's kind of like defensive end slash edge rusher. We've gotten a few different sorts of them. But yeah, really, really excellent skills and coverage so far. I'm really excited to see what we can do with him once he gets on campus because he's got a ton of potential as well.
Yeah. As for offers he had, it was Houston, Arkansas, Texas Tech, and UCF were the highlights of his offer sheet. And yeah, that's legitimate recruiting win for a guy that has really immense upside. And yes, he is taller than Jacob Parrish, but he still kind of has that same athleticism, which, I mean, maybe he's a little more stiff. You don't really get to see a lot of, I don't want to say you don't see any true corner tape, but it's more him playing true outside corner where he's more having to gallop backwards than he is having to sort of adjust to routes. But that's something that, I mean, most outside corners at the high school level that like they're not having to cover laterally very often. But I like how you mentioned that we're recruiting all different types of defensive backs because that's probably the best transition I could have asked for talking about Joshua Vilmael, who is listed as a true 4-star, 91 on Rivals, 24/7 4-star. ESPN does not exist in this universe because we're not talking about Miles Sadecki, but he also had offers from Florida State, North Carolina, Kentucky, Houston. It looked for a while like North Carolina was going to be the pick, but he ends up picking K-State. Yes, this is the brother of Josiah Vilmael, who was a true freshman in last year, or is a true freshman in this year's class. And yes, they are very similar players. They are not the same player. To me, the difference would be Josiah is more Zayshawn Rich, and Joshua is more Donovan McIntosh, where Donovan McIntosh had one elite trait coming out of high school, and that is he would just run people out of bounds when he was playing press coverage. And Joshua Vilmael is capable of doing the exact same thing because he's a damn pterodactyl. So like that's my comp. We have his brother, which was Zayshawn Rich, or his name is Josiah Vilmael, but my comp for him was Zayshawn Rich. And now we have Joshua Vilmael, who my comp is Donovan McIntosh, just because of his elite trait of working the sideline. I do think he's better at where he's just that's not his only skill because Donnie ended up as a high 3-star, I want to say. But yeah, that's not his only skill set. He's a little better over the middle, and he's a little more physical in the run than Donnie is or was. But that's the floor, and I'm not complaining about that floor.
Yeah, no, I'm a huge fan of Vilmael as well. I think he's someone that, athletically, mountains of potential exists there. He plays as an athlete very loose, and I mean that in a good sense, in that it seems like moving quickly and effectively is like easy for him. He also has he showed some like pretty quick hands and good ball skills too, on a few different occasions. Like he has a knack for getting turnovers as well. He was really effective with that in his highlight tape, which again, some of that is luck, especially at the high school level. But at some point, there's a few turnovers in his tape where it's legitimately all him. Like he had a great forced fumble and run support that I was a big fan of. But yeah, he's willing to be physical, and he's willing to play run support, and he moves very well in space. Like he's someone I think, like the biggest thing to develop for him is probably going to be just like true cover skills. I think, and I think at least broadly speaking, that isn't the worst thing in the world. I mean, especially in a position like corner where it's a tough position, but it's teachable and you can learn it. And he has right now about all the traits that you can't teach, especially being such a fluid athlete. He lists himself at 6'3", 185. I feel like he's 6'1.5" from his on-3 profiles, probably just about dead on if I were guessing. But yeah, another really big fan. I'm glad we were able to pull him in because, yeah, for those who keep their ear to the ground, it looked like it was going to be North Carolina based on the scuttlebutt. But K-State has been crossing paths with Bill Belichick's staff quite a bit recently, and K-State's done pretty well.
And I will say that Bill Belichick, both in the NFL and in college, has a type when it comes to corner, and that is press man corner, where the only way you're beating them is if you're beating the corner themselves. And he's proven to be a pretty good evaluator of corners. Now, does that mean that he should have been a college coach? The answer is absolutely not. But, sometimes you got to separate the evaluator from the coach. And if Bill Belichick wanted a corner, I am more than comfortable taking that corner, especially if, we have an idea for a role for him. Now, that actually leads to, before we talk about the next commit, I do think that leads to an interesting conversation about what we can glean from Jordan Peterson's scheme just based on the defensive backs that he's recruiting, which makes me think we're going to be running a lot of press man stuff. Either that or we're running a lot of press zone. So we're either running a lot of man coverage, so your cover ones and if you want to be pretentious, cover fives, which is just two-man coverage, man coverage with two high safeties. Or we're going to be running a lot of cover two. I guess we could be running press three, but I don't, not in college. Please don't do that in college. That's a really bad idea just because the spacing doesn't work out. Anyway, I'm a massive dork. But I do think it opens an interesting conversation about, what we can glean from the scheme that just from players that Jordan Peterson is wanting and the people he's recruiting.
No, I agree. I mean, really the only thing that we've been able to get so far is that they want to be multiple, which, like, to be fair, from like this this grouping of athletes and the recruits that we've picked up, I completely believe that we do want to be like truly multiple in our defense and not like completely married to like our either 3-3-5 like we were for a while, or the old 4-2 hybrid, or kind of like the 3-3 Sam / 4-2-5 we were running. But like I think at the college level, if you can be like truly and authentically multiple, I think that provides a lot of benefits for you. It makes you much harder to prepare for, especially if you're like actually good at it. Because I mean, it's one thing to be multiple for the sake of being multiple, but yeah, and it's another thing to be multiple because you have the personnel for it. And I think we're definitely trying to get players specific for a role we have in mind that we need for the team, especially on defense. And I'm a fan of that philosophy. Uh, like there's if you run a scheme and you do one thing well, like there's nothing wrong with recruiting to that philosophy. But if you're going to be multiple, like there's a lot of benefits to come with that as well. So, and I'm curious to see what we can do because really in my lifetime, at least it feels like K State's never really been particularly multiple. Like a lot of time, like maybe like there's some like parts I can't remember from like pre-college, but it always felt like K State under Bill Snyder was very much a I guess pre-modern era. It was your 4-3 or whatever your typical lineup was, but I think in my formative years it was a lot of like 4-2 nickel. Like with corners playing about 35 yards off the line of scrimmage.
We got corners, baby.
They're somewhere, but we do have them. So, but yeah, I like the idea of being multiple and being good at being multiple. And I think we're getting the personnel to do that.
Yeah. And a big part of being multiple could be the next defensive end. This one, I think, has a better argument of being called an edge than Cedric Marsh. But he's still much more defensive end, and that's Jaron Allen from Cedar Hill, Texas, who's an 88 3-star on Rivals and an 86 on 24/7. ESPN has yet to grade them. We will continue to have digs at ESPN because they're just not they're not relevant in the recruiting sphere anymore. But Jaron Allen is someone who played a lot of walk-up edge rusher in high school. I would be shocked if that was his role at the college level. And it's not because, it is partially because he's not a particularly bendy athlete. He's very similar to Cedric Marsh. I think his hands might be a little stronger, but that's also because, you hear someone say, he has a really good punch or he has a really good, first step and first contact. No, he's literally just punching people. Like he actually is throwing full-on haymakers, not at the guy's face, obviously, that's a penalty, but he's putting his entire force behind his hands, which, I mean, as a stand-up edge rusher, as if you're sealing the edge, yeah, that's fine. I think he's going to be a really, really good run defender. My only question is, does he take that next step to be a 3-down edge rusher, or if he does stay more of the 2-down guy? Because with Marsh, I see a pretty clear path with him being a 3-down guy as a pressure slash, maybe third and long, third and medium situation where it could be any. You're not having to take Cedric Marsh off the field. Right now, I see the ceiling for Jaron Allen as someone that you have for your, like a Cody Stufflebean, where you have him on the field for your running downs, and he can occasionally get some pressure if they happen to pass on an early down, but that's not going to be his calling card just because he doesn't have the bend.
Yeah, I like that take a lot. I'm a big fan of his game. Like you said, like I like how he uses his hands. And yeah, he's kind of similar to Marsh in that he does have a lot of short area agility in his game. He's definitely not bursty or like super fast or anything like that. But he's quick in small areas, and that's going to make him really effective as a run defender. But he's also really effective power rusher. Like he showed a few different occasions of him really being able to collapse a pocket because of that short area quickness. Allows him to close gaps pretty effectively, and he's good at positioning his hands to get offensive tackles into like awkward spots with other blocking, especially ones with shorter arms. So I think I mostly agree with you. Yeah, like he also has a really weird elite trait And it's batting down passes when he's pressuring the quarterback. He had like 6 of those in his auto tape, which is like, I mean, a lot of defensive ends you'll see 0 of those sorts of plays, but he's got really long arms and he closes pretty quickly. He's about just the right speed to make a quarterback think they have more time than they do. Because he just reaches his top speed pretty quick. It's just that he's not like he doesn't have elite speed. He's just getting to that speed faster than they might think. But that'd be really, I think, really useful for early down passing situations, is having an ability to bat down a pass at the line or judge a quarterback on the pump fake or not, because like he does show pretty solid pursuit in short areas. I mean, again, he doesn't have the long speed for like cross field pursuit or anything like that. But I think that he could still be really effective for like some pocket pursuit.
Yeah. Much more if he is. I like that you bring up the pursuit angles, because if he is going to get sacks or pressures, it's going to be because the play ran a little long. Like, he's not going to get completely stonewalled. He's not going to get destroyed if he happens to be on the field in a passing situation. He's just not going to be able to win fast enough for a normally structured play, which, granted, all the people who can are 4 stars or higher. That's a very short list of people. And like, there's nothing wrong with being a good run-stopping defensive end, and that to me is what Jaron Allen is. And not to be confused with Jordan Allen, because for some reason my brain instantly assumed they are related. They are not. But now we get to talk to it. Admittedly, I will reveal my bias here. Probably my favorite commit of this batch. I'm not sure how close it is. And that is Brooklyn Maxey, who is a 6'2" athlete from Tampa, Florida, listed as a 3-star on both Rivals and 24/7. Had offers from Kentucky, Alabama, Texas, and Virginia Tech. Kentucky was the really big competition here, though he was committed to Louisville at one point. This was actually a flip from Louisville. And I'm going to tell you all the same story that I told Connor before this episode, because I always try to do player comps if I don't feel like I can properly explain their game just by talking about it. The first comp that I came up with for Brooklyn Maxey was Sebastian Taylor, who is a K-State receiver. And then I thought, no, he's a little quicker than Seabass, and he's a little shorter. So that didn't work. And then my next thought was Calvin Ridley. And I was like, no, he doesn't have the short area quickness that Calvin Ridley did. He's not the same route runner. Then I was like, maybe Cade Warner. Like, no, he's a better athlete than Cade Warner. And then I sat down and I watched one particular highlight of him on a fade, and it hit me like a damn truck. Oh my God, this is Alec Pierce. Like, this is Alec Pierce. It's the same guy, except for like, Brooklyn Maxey is an inch or two shorter, but their game is the exact same. Break the press. If you need a double move, they can get it, but sometimes it's not the most necessary thing because they're taller. And once you break the press, they're able to attack the ball in a way that very few receivers can. His ability to attack the ball and catch it with his hands is bar none the best I have seen from a K-State targeted recruit at all. And it's not close. In fact, he's fighting between him and Larry Porter for my favorite wide receiver commit that K-State has ever gotten while we've been running this show. And it's just because I see an NFL second-round pick, like right now. I see Alec Pierce in his game, and Connor can attest, I was always an Alec Pierce guy. That was like one of the hills I died on, was Alec Pierce is going to be a damn good NFL wide receiver. And we just got that.
That was not the comp I was expecting for Brooklyn Maxey, but the second you said it, Like I was immediately happy because I know how big of an Alec Pierce fan you are. I was very happy to hear that because the comp we've seen a lot of so far has been Jace Brown, and I think that comes from Maxi being such an effective separator, which Jace Brown was really good with. But they're really not overly similar in terms of their overall game. For one, Maxi is much more well built than Jace Brown. Because, I mean, Jace Brown, he was typically listed at like 180. He looked to be like 170 soaking wet to me. Maxi, like, he lists himself at 200 already. And he puts himself at 6'2", which like he is probably kind of like a little male, probably like 6'1.5". Like, and you know what? Splitting hairs at that point, like it's fine. But I'm a very big fan of Brooklyn Maxey. What he brings on the outside, interestingly, he has a move on his first highlight in his huddle tape in his kick return. And I'm not saying he's like this guy because I think that their overall games as receivers are very different. But I want to like call attention to one thing he does that reminds me of this guy. He has like a little like quick like shoulder chest fake to the inside on this kick return that reminds me of Tyler Lockett at K State. I think that Tyler as a freshman I think it might have been against like Texas Tech. Maybe he had like kind of a similar move on a kick return touchdown. So again, I'm not saying Brooklyn Maxey is Tyler Lockett. I think they're vastly different players. But some of what Brooklyn Maxey does while moving in space is similar in terms of their short area quickness. Tyler Lockett much faster overall than Brooklyn Maxey. But man, Brooklyn Maxey's short area quickness and separation ability are bordering on elite, I'd say. Like this is someone who I think if he was like a little bit faster, like in even like the 4.45 range, like he'd be like probably a mid-level 4-star, I think. Like
well, if he ran a 4.4, he would literally be Alan Pierce.
Yeah, I agree. Ball skills incredible. So good at tracking the ball. Is able to pull in contested catches. I don't want to say with ease because they don't look easy, but he does it a lot. But he's wildly effective and an excellent ad at receiver. And despite again not having like blazing speed, he's able to separate so well. He gets himself open downfield a lot, and he catches well too. Because sometimes a separator they use that to kind of be a little lazy with their hands. Not always, but that's just something you might worry about. But man, Maxey like got really good hands as well, and he shows that with his ability to make catches through contact.
And I want to talk about 2 points here. Firstly, on the Jace Brown comp, I understand why people would make that comp because they both are very good at separating. The reason I push back against it is because they separate in very, very different ways, which leads into my second point where I famously have never been a contested catch guy. Contested catches very rarely move the needle for me. And that's a lot of Brooklyn Maxey's tape. So I can see a world where someone says, wait a minute, you didn't like other contested catch guys like Capris Keith in last year's class. What makes Brooklyn Maxey so different? Yes, Brooklyn Maxey makes a lot of contested catches, but he also knows how to run routes at his size. Because at his size, you do have to be like that Dontavian Wicks, which was another comp I played with. Dontavian Wicks, Alec Pierce both have the ability to separate, not because, I mean, don't get me wrong, both of them are really damn fast, but they're able to play wide receiver almost like a forward in basketball, or sort of like a stretch four or a post player, I guess, depending on how you want to use the analogy, where yes, they have plenty of quickness and they have shiftiness, but that's not going to be able to get them separation on their own. So what they'll do is they'll lean. They'll start leaning into corners. And whereas people like Jace Brown use the corner's weight against them just because they're so shifty, people like Brooklyn Maxey or Dontavian Wicks or Alec Pierce use their weight to contribute to that and put pressure on the corner. The difference is people like Maxey, the corner almost doesn't realize they're getting beat until it's too late. Jace and other route runners of that kind, you know immediately that the corner is screwed. And neither approach is wrong. I want to make that very, very clear. Neither approach is wrong. It just depends on body type. But the fact that Maxey is able to do it, and he seems to make it pretty effortless, where he's creating just enough space to where contested catches aren't, guy in his face. He's having to moss people. He's getting himself in a better position to make that catch to where, yes, it is a contested catch in that there is someone in the area and he's getting contacted. But he's able to make 50-50 balls be more like 75-25 just because he's able to separate just enough. So those are like the two areas that I kind of push back against the Jace comp, not only because he's bigger, but they separate in very, very different ways. But yeah, it seriously did smack me in the face. Like, as soon as I thought about it, I'm like, and I didn't want to make that comp unless I was sure about it. And there are two reasons for that. One, Alec Pierce just got paid an ass load of money, and he deserved it, by the way, because he's a really good receiver. And two, I didn't want tall white receiver to be the same comp. But I mean, come on. You look at Alec Pierce highlights and you look at Maxey's highlights and say you don't see a similarity outside of their white.
Yeah. I did look it up. I didn't see a 40 time for Brooklyn Maxey. He does have a 100-meter time of 11.2, which isn't like elite or anything, but that's also, we didn't expect that. So that probably puts him in about like a 4.65 range, I think.
That's functional.
Yeah, I was gonna if he can separate, then that's just gonna be okay. I mean, and he'll probably get a little bit faster when he gets here too. Not abominably faster, but if he can get to a tick under a 4.6, I think that's a pretty good spot. So yeah, great head.
I'm sorry, I just looked at Alec Pierce's 40 time at his pro day. Take a guess.
Gosh, I don't even know. A 4.5.
At his pro day, he ran a 4.33.
Oh, well.
Oh, is that all?
Yeah. I was not close, actually. So, shout out to you, Alec Pierce. That's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
If Brooklyn Maxey could do that, I mean, he'd be pretty expensive, I think.
Yeah, that's someone who's getting paid millies to go somewhere else. But the next wide receiver who, forgive me, I'm not going to be as excited about as I was for Maxey. And it's not because I don't like the player. It's because Maxey's my favorite wide receiver we've ever gotten. Is Ashton Stark, who is out of Louisiana, 5'9", 160, listed as an 87 3-star on both Rivals and 24/7. Held offers from Houston, Ole Miss, Texas Tech, and Auburn are the most notable ones. And this is, right now, quintessential gadget guy, where you get him the ball in space, whether it be on screen passes, jet sweeps, maybe wildcat quarterback. He has film with that. He will make guys miss. And that's kind of it right now. If you want a really lazy comp, someone somewhere is going to make this comp because they're going to see 5'9", probably 5'8", wide receivers. Look, that's Phillip Brooks. Stop. Do not do that to yourself. Do not do that. He's much closer to Devon Rice than he is Phillip Brooks.
I think he's closer to Tyreek Hill than he is to Phillip Brooks. I'm a very big fan of Ashton Stark, and I do agree. I think like my brain prefers Brooklyn Maxey, but my heart prefers Ashton Stark, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because Ashton Stark's huddle tape is just a lot of fun. Like he's gonna be a fan favorite of this class because like he's kind of like Money Elston, and that a lot of his huddle tape is him just doing really cool things and making other people look stupid. Like he breaks some ankles a few occasions, and yeah, he's like a human highlight reel basically. Like he has touchdowns on offense, defense, and special teams in his tape. He has a lot of kick return touchdowns, like I think at least 5, maybe 6. So that's something to look out for sure. I would love it. I've seen a few people kind of throw out Brandon Banks, a former Wildcat, as a interesting comp. And I can kind of see it. I think Stark is a little more built than Brandon Banks ever was, but Banks is an underappreciated K-State player just because he was on some not so great K-State teams. He was a JUCO guy that was here for 2008, 2009. So he has some great highlights, but and he also, I think, just got inducted to the Canadian Football League Hall of Fame. So good for you, Brandon Banks. But Ashton Stark, I'm really happy with this ad. I mean, like you said, like he's someone that could make an early impact as a electric returner or a gadget guy. He may not have like a elite level ceiling or anything like that. Depends on just how athletic he gets. Because I mean, those really small guys that play themselves into being like true NFL guys, it's because their athleticism is just out of this world. And Ashton Stark could push himself to that point. I think it's realistic. It's not likely, but it's something that he is capable of, I think. So I'm hoping that he's able to put everything together. He self-reports a 4.31 40. I don't think it's quite that unless it's a laser time, but it doesn't specify it, so I'm going to assume it's not. I would buy a 4.35 though from Ashton Stark, and that's pretty close. Typically, I give a like 10th of a second handicap on that, but Stark is fast enough and shifty enough that I'm a little bit more inclined to believe he's really quick. But yeah, he's hyper athletic. I hope he can make an early impact. And he's another guy that had a pretty good offer list as well. Houston, Ole Miss, Texas Tech, Auburn, Arkansas, Wake Forest, and Cincy are the reported Power 4 offers. As with all of these guys, there's probably more we just don't know about. Some of the offers might be a little outdated. It's really hard to tell with some of these guys. Ashton Stark's a guy, if he was probably like 2 or 3 inches taller, like he's probably going to LSU. So fingers crossed he doesn't hit a growth spurt.
Yeah, if he's 2 inches taller and keeps the twitch and the speed, yeah, no, that's a middle four star who's going to LSU. Like we're screwed.
Go Tigers.
No, Tigers. No. LSU fans are mean to us.
Yeah, and for no reason. What did we ever do to them other than beat down on their fraud team?
Like 5th string.
Yeah. It's like, who was the QB that game for them?
I don't remember. I just remember it was one of their receivers.
It was a receiver. I keep wanting to say Kendall Hinton, but that was the receiver that played quarterback for the Broncos at one time.
Yeah.
So I
don't remember.
I can't remember, but
yeah. We also got a legendary call that game, but if you know, you know. But the last of the commits is Joseph Graves, who's originally from Tulsa, but played for IMG this last season. And now Joseph Graves is interesting in that you look at him, and I'm not going to say I'm typecasting, but he is 6'2", 285. he might be closer to 300 in his film. I don't want to typecast, but you look at him and you see, oh yeah, this is probably going to be one of those guys that, they're probably a little bit more of a tree stump. They probably have really heavy hands, and that's kind of their game. But Joseph Graves is a lot more than that, where he has a lot more technically going on with his game than I think a lot of people realize. And a lot of that is how he plays the run, where he's doing something that a lot of college teams don't trust defensive tackles to do, and that's he's two gapping. Like, he is strong and quick enough in his upper body and with his arms to where he can stay square with the offensive lineman who is blocking him, wait to see where the running back is going, and then just dispose of the offensive lineman to make the tackle. That's like 80% of his highlight tape. And that's really damn good. Like, that is a really good skill set to have. And it's absurd to me he's being trusted to do that in high school. So, yeah, he's not just a tree stump. He's really good at playing the run, but it's because he's able to flow with the run and play multiple gaps at once, which is critical if you're going to be an effective run defending, even shade technique, sometimes three technique. He's probably a shade or a nose at K-State. Maybe he could play a little bit of three tech in a pinch. I prefer he didn't, but theoretically could. But Joseph Graves, of the commits we've listed today, probably my third favorite. Probably my fourth favorite of the list.
There are some really good D tackles in this class. Dwayne Jones, Anatoni Tahi, and Joseph Graves. That makes for a mean defensive interior. And I am, honestly right now, like A plus, frankly, to Jordan Dove and the rest of the staff for the tackle prospects are bringing in, at least on paper. Obviously, they still have to perform, but they went out and have completely revamped the interior. Now it's going to be a while before we see them, but I'm a huge fan. Joseph Graves is no different than those other two guys that we already have, Dwayne Jones and Anatoni Tahi. Graves, last year, he had a strong season with IMG. I don't love stats always for high school guys because the raw numbers are just very misleading at times, because especially for a guy that's just like a dominant athlete playing in like a lower classification, they're just going to put up video game numbers. Yeah. But at IMG, he had 26 tackles and 3 sacks, which for an interior defensive tackle, I think is probably pretty solid. I would take that production from him every season, I think, at the college level. But the main reason I bring it up is because he had just absolutely comical stats his sophomore season, Booker T. Washington and Tulsa. As a sophomore, he was the 5A3 District Defensive Player of the Year. And he had 82 tackles, 52 for loss, and 18 sacks, and 4 forced fumbles. That is just humiliating for others. I mean,
there's nothing you can do about that, honestly.
And so honestly, with those numbers, I get why he went to IMG, and yeah, he didn't put up video game numbers, but he still produced and was playing for an athlete factory, effectively, is what IMG is. So he did really well, and he had a crazy offer sheet as well. He had somewhere in the neighborhood of around 20, I think, Power 4 offers, and they came from all over, all the power conferences. Oklahoma wanted him bad. Nebraska was after him. Texas A&M was after him. Ole Miss, UCLA, Georgia Tech, Oklahoma State. NC State was the other school listed with K-State when it was decision time for him, but he had still an extensive offer list. And so I'm very happy that we're pulling in a lot of guys right now that had a lot of those, I suppose, big name schools on their offer sheets. So a lot of these guys we're pulling in are like they're not hidden per se,
No.
like a lot of prospects could be that K-State has pulled in the past. Like these, like a lot of the guys we've been getting recently, like these are guys that are on the market. Like Brooklyn Maxey was committed to like a peer institution of Louisville, like a pretty strong football program. Like, and we flipped them. Like the recruiting effort from the new staff and the buy-in from the new staff in recruiting has been excellent. And I feel like, especially in the last few months, since spring balls ended, it's been even better.
Yeah. And I am curious about how many more players K-State even takes, because they're at 20 or more commits right now. They're top 30 in the country in terms of recruiting class. And that's a lot of these guys I think are going to go up. If Maxey doesn't get a 4th star, I don't know what the hell we're doing. If Marsh doesn't officially get that 4th star, I'm not going to be as miffed as if Maxey didn't, but I would still be confused. Who else in this class is primed to rise? Let me pull up the entire class here.
I think Melanson might stand a chance to get over the edge because he's already at an 89, I think. So he's somebody I think is a good option. Ben Henoch, he's an 89. Like, and yeah, he's a blocking tight end, so it's not like a flashy position, but like he's good at what he does. Like, and I could see him like just pushing his way into that 4-star conversation.
Yeah, Henoch. Yeah, Henoch I think is probably the safest bet. Marsh and Maxey I think would be my other 2 picks, but right now top 30 class in the country with a lot of these guys. I don't think are there a lot of guys that I think are going to get bumped up from like mid-level 3-star to 4-star. No, but there are some guys that are on the borderline who I think are more likely than not to get their 4th star. And even with the guys that are, lower rated, I get it. I mean, I see the vision, because David Rushing is going to be a 3-star when it's done. And God, that's going to be a disgusting receiver room. Maxey, Stark, and Rushing. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, you're going to have 2 guys in Stark and Rushing that can beat you over the top any play. Stark can also be pretty versatile. Like, I could see him being someone that we can motion in and out of the backfield as well, kind of be a gadget guy. Rushing's going to be able to dice guys up in open space. And you have Maxey, like he's going to be able to operate underneath or over the top as well. Like there's some versatility and complementary skill sets there that I'm really happy about. And then unrelated to those guys, but I just realized Dwayne Jones also goes to Booker T. Washington High School in Oklahoma. So 2 years ago, there would have been a defensive interior for Booker T. Washington that had Joseph Graves and Dwayne Jones. And I don't know how you could possibly game plan for that.
You just screen pass every play.
So, yeah, I just felt like it was important that everybody know that. And then other guys that should get 4-star status, he probably won't, but he should. Anatoni Tahi, our beloved, he absolutely deserves it. He's just not quite high enough there, so it's going to take an eval guy with Rivals or 247 really liking him, because we all know ESPN's not doing anything about it. So it's got to be one of those 2 services. But like, I think Tahi should rise. I don't know if he will, but he deserves it.
Yeah, because Tahi is still my number 1 ranked recruit in this class. Though there are more people fighting with him than I thought there would be when he first committed. Because I thought this was going to be another year where it was really, really, really obvious number 1, and then kind of everyone else. Nope.
Now, this is shaping up to be top to bottom best recruiting class K-State's ever had right now. Like, I mean, we're already, I mean, top 30 is, for a lot of Power 4 schools, like nothing insane, but not just for K State historically, but for most Power 4 schools in the current era of college football, getting to that top 30 level and pulling in several blue chip guys, that's impressive in of itself. So I'm very pleased with this recruiting class so far. And yeah, you mentioned it earlier that we already have 20 plus guys. I was looking the commitment story on KSO for Graves, and we're at 24 now. So yeah, this could be a situation where we take maybe a couple more. But if we end up passing a 5 to play 5 standard for college sports going forward, then that's going to really kind of tighten roster management even more because you're going to have guys that stay longer and fewer, and that's not going to expand the number of roster spots. You're still going to be sitting at 105. So, man, I'm very, very pleased with the quality of recruits that we brought in and the quantity. Not often you can get both, but really, really strong group.
Yeah. Do you have any final notes before we sign off?
I think somehow we didn't mention it, but Joseph Graves and that video of his mom just absolutely laying him out. I'm very glad that he committed to us after that video, because it would have been a little weird to have it go viral every few months from the Sports Center Twitter person, whoever it is that runs the account, and have it be from a recruiting visit at a school he didn't commit to. So I'm happy he made that choice. But if you haven't seen it, Joseph Graves went by honestly fairly viral. Most of the posts I saw were into the millions of views and had tens of thousands of likes. But doing the recruiting photo shoot, his mom put on pads as well for their pictures, and she there's a video, she just absolutely decks him while he's taking pictures. And I saw the caption for it, and I almost didn't watch. I only watched because it was K-State, because so often I see stuff like that, and I'm like, it's not going to be that big a hit. It actually really is.
She laid the stick on him, man.
Yeah, I was like, that would be a really embarrassing way to get a season-ending injury, is getting laid out on a recruiting visit by one of your parents, and they just injure you. But no, it was super funny video.
She laid the stick on him, man.
And it's some free marketing for K-State as well. So.
Yeah, the last time that K-State had a viral recruiting picture came out that haunted us for the rest of our years was Jaron Kanak. So it's going better than that.
Yeah, I think you're right. Well, what about did Lincoln Cure have one with was Avery Johnson, or was that after he was
yeah, it was him. Oh boy, it was him, Dylan, him, Avery, and Dylan.
Yeah,
that's another one that might haunt us. But I think that the Jaron Kanak riding the Wildcat paws on the Memorial Soccer Stadium I think that got a little wider reach outside of K-State circles. Neither here nor there. Point being, both of those pictures now kind of haunt us for different reasons. But
yeah, so hopefully this one doesn't haunt us at some point either. But right now, even if he decommits and goes somewhere else, still good marketing for K-State. Doesn't make us look bad at all. It's also not painful in-state recruiting loss if he goes somewhere else. It'll hurt for sure because I like him a lot, but there's not as much of a I guess personal sting to it like Kanak, and then people aren't going to make fun of us for it because it's a funny thing that makes people laugh.
But with that all being said, thank you all for listening to this episode of the Aggieville Alleycats podcast. If you want to follow or contact the show, you can follow us just about anywhere at Aggieville Alleycats. And if you want to email us, we're AggievilleAlleycats@gmail.com. If you want to follow us on a more personal note, I'm at AC Edwards 00.
I'm at Connor Balance, capital C, capital B.
And if you want to support the show financially, please be sure to check out the official Aggieville Alleycats merch store. Link found in our podcast and Twitter bios. But most importantly, thank you all for listening to this episode of the Aggieville Alleycats podcast. For come rain, shine, or anything between, we're here to deliver to you the Kansas State sporting news that you so love. Stay safe, Alleycats.